it really is a mining ordinance. And I don't think this council would have ever wanted heavy industrial use with mining in neighborhoods 500 feet away from neighborhoods. I just don't believe we would have, but and that's why we're here today to discuss possibly revising that ordinance and where it makes it a lot more tolerable for the neighborhoods and for the entire city. As I said, we've worked so hard to change the image and to be real honest with you. I mean, these are pretty strong statements that had we known that the real sites are dirty, they're invasive, industrial mining operations are not pretty, and to put them in residential neighborhoods and next to the parks just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why the staff has gone back and looked at this ordinance and proposing a new ordinance that this council is going to have to decide whether they want to adopt or not. With that being said, and I'm not one more comment, as far as the safety issues, I don't think we've thought about the safety issues at that time. There are safety issues. I think just last week, I seen the Star Telegram, the vapor cloud that was over Loop 820 and Main Street, in that area. A couple of weeks before that, the vapor leak that occurred in Flower Mound, the earthquakes that result in Johnson County, even though very minor. It wasn't just Johnson County. North Green 3 felt earthquakes from the drilling that took place at DFW. So all that being said, I think this council decided it was probably the right thing to do, to relook the ordinance. Let's decide if we can make some improvements that are good for this city, good for the neighborhoods. That being said, I'll recognize Mr. Jim Cummins, who's our Director of Environmental Services, and will be making a presentation to the council.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, as was mentioned, we've been working on this revision for quite a while. Kind of look back and just like that last March or April when we started actually working on a revision. And within the city, the gas drilling process or regulation is a group effort. A lot of different departments are involved in this process. A lot of different departments are involved in the ordinance. We have our planning department involved in landscaping and fencing issues. We have our engineering folks involved in the seismic testing portion and specifications for frac ponds and things like that. We also have our public works folks get involved on road use, repair issues, and our transportation folks are involved in the transportation routes, and our fire department, obviously, very importantly, is involved in review of the emergency response plans and a lot of the safety issues related to Castro. In addition to that, the city has outside assistance from consultants that have helped us in this process, and I'd like to introduce today, we've got Larry Halsey, who has been for years, he's been our outside petroleum engineer that has provided us some technical information. Also with us today is Kenneth Tram, who has been assisting us on air emission issues. And of course, finally, there's a person who has the answers to all your questions tonight. That's Cindy Mendez, our environmental quality manager, who I think by now probably has the ordinance memorized. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through some of the proposed changes to the ordinance. They're going to range from, at the start, things that we consider really not too controversial, all the way to build to those things that we need some discussion and guidance on. On any particular issue, if any council member desires to have a real detailed discussion with a staff member on that, staff is always available to have an offline review with you. If somebody really wants to get into the details of how frac pond, best management practices, that engineering would apply, or we would be more than happy to sit down with anybody and go through all that with you. So to get us started, the schedule we have been on was really a staff effort all the way through last summer. Then in August, we had a public meeting, and we had a great attendance at that public meeting, received lots of comments, and we continued to receive comments from those citizens that attended that public meeting. We did a briefing in November for the council, and much of what you see tonight is really going to be a repeat of those elements. The ordinance really has not changed as far as the proposal since then. There's been some minor adjustments to it, but so the slides you'll see, a lot of them are going to be familiar with you. Obviously, we have the workshop today, and tentatively scheduled for next Tuesday is consideration of the ordinance for adoption. So that's the schedule that we're on right now. Obviously, the mayor stated our goal, and staff truly believes this does need to be a balance between the rights of the mineral owners and our protected uses, our residential homeowners, our churches, our schools, and we work very hard with that. And much of the work we put into the ordinance is in response to, in the field situations that we worked with our citizens and with the operators as we have done our inspections and responded to complaints. The public meeting, like I said, was well attended. We had over 140 attendees. We had 20 speakers, and we received 30 written comments, and we continued today. Every day we receive comments in from citizens. We have considered all the comments, both for change, against change, as we have gone through the ordinance. We have started this last week to try to get have received comments on the proposal, and we have received comments in favor. Some saying we aren't strict enough, some saying we're being too strict, and so being in the middle, we're probably where we need to be. And so let us get started as we go through the proposed changes. To bring you up to date on activity in Grand Prairie, we have 48 permitted sites. We have 2 pending. 118 wells have been drilled, and we are getting more gas wells into production. And Grand Prairie, since we were later to the game as far as drilling, we have less wells in production than those cities to the west. But we did have the opportunity to talk to the city of Mansfield the other day, and they were talking about their wells that are in production. And because one of the things we always get phone calls from Cindy and I are citizens interested in when they're going to start getting their royalties. And so we're talking to Mansfield, and a lot of their wells are in production, so they're starting to get their royalties. And people are always interested in what their royalties are. And what they're finding is that for a residential lot, their citizens are receiving a check for about $20 a month before taxes. So that's kind of the royalty on a regular residential lot. Obviously, the price of natural gas is suppressed now, and that influences that royalty check. And this just shows graphically how back when we first adopted the ordinance, we didn't really have a lot of activity going on, and it has grown. As you're aware, the large, vast majority of the drilling has been in the southern part of the city, and we'll have some maps, and you have some maps in your packet that indicate where those wells are. All right, let's talk about the proposed changes. First change is that in the current ordinance, we require an ambient background noise study be done as part of the application. We currently require a 48-hour study. The proposed change is to go to a 72-hour study. Obviously, more data is always better, and include one weekend. And this is the standard that most of the cities across the Metroplex are now And let me say this as we go through these one by one. If you have questions about a specific change, it might be best to go ahead and ask that question now. We'll try to answer as many as we can. Or if there's something that you want us to research, we can do that too. One of the things that has been noticed by our citizens that are immediately adjacent to pad sites and by our staff is that on the noise level, we have problems with pure tone and low frequency noise. And these are really specific types of noise. To give you an example, pure tone could be something like a squeal or a brake drum. Low frequency is a real low hum. And both of these are hard to do mitigation on, and our existing ordinance does not really address those. And so in the proposed ordinance, we have some specific limitations laid out for those, and essentially what we did was basically copy or adopt a similar wording that cities to the west of us, Fort Worth and Mansfield and those kind of cities have adopted to regulate those. Our current technology does not capture these in our noise meters, and so it takes different technology for that. Lift and line compressors, and when the mayor said that back in 2005, we were new to gas drilling well, we didn't even know what lift and line compressors were. We have spent a lot of time over the years becoming acquainted with the gas industry. These are heavy industrial compressors that were actually positioned on pad sites to help with movement of gas off-site. Some are temporary, some are permanent, and so our current ordinance does not address those at all. And so the proposed changes really put into some place some decibel limitations for temporary compressors, some decibel limitations for permanent compressors, and then details temporary sound shielding. And if it's going to be a permanent compressor on the pad site, it needs to have some kind of acoustical shielding that has a nice look to it. That's just not something that's ugly from when you look at it from the street. We have some pad sites now that have these compressors on them, and they really have been a strong source of annoyance to the adjoining property owners. I know Councilmember Jensen and staff have been out to a couple sites and trying to work through the issues, and those compressors are really something that when we adopted the ordinance, we did not envision we'd have to deal with. We thought of compressors as a compression station somewhere where we would deal with as a separate entity. These are compressors that are actually on the pad side. Low back noise. This is part of following the fracturing process, and we really don't have any specific requirements, and so we're just setting the same noise requirements for flow back as we do for the other activities. Noise walls. Our current ordinance has some requirements for high impact and urban pad sites, minimum of 16 feet. Most of our pad sites, they have put up 30 foot because of they just had to solve the noise complaints they received. So we have set that as our new minimum. And also, as far as the fabric, really don't have any specifications, so we're adopting what the national standard is, that's the STC, and adopting a minimum of 30. This will help not only with regular noise, but also will help with the